Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Tonight we open the case of the man with the broken heart. We have in the studio author Mary Gilder. She came all the way from California to talk to us about what she does and what she knows. She is a licensed clinical therapy with a master's degree from San Diego State University. She's a human rights activist, and she's passionate about finding out the reflections in people's lives and past, and to promote living a life with no regrets. In her book tour that she's had about her book, Even a Man Can Have a Broken Heart, she has discovered that there are a lot of men who are brokenhearted, who want to talk about this. So tonight we have in the studio Miss Mary Gilder. We also have Danny Sneed. As you know, Danny is a man who has been in the criminal justice system for many years, and he is an activist. He is an anti-mass incarceration person, and he is talking tonight, and he actually brought Miss Gilder in tonight. So tonight, without any further ado, ignore the fact that you hear a cell phone ringing, and without any further ado, we'll talk to Miss Gilder. So Miss Gilder, thank you for coming all the way from San Diego to talk to us about this case tonight, and please go straight into your book information.
Okay, well, once again, my name is Mary Gilder, and this particular project is my second project, Even a Man Can Have a Broken Heart, and I say I was willed because it was part of my spirit to write this particular book. It wasn't anything that I planned, but it was something that was put into me as a need to be the voice for men who feel that they have a story that hasn't been told or hasn't been acknowledged as it pertains to love. And so what I did, I put the word out that I was going to be doing a book based on men and their journey with love, lessons learned, mistakes made. So I put the word out that I wanted men referred to me who had gone through something, came through it, and had lessons and growth that they wanted to share, not only for men, but for women as well. So men were referred to me. I met with them, did an interview, and I settled on 5 men who I felt would be good candidates for the book. Two of the men reside in California, and the other 3 reside on the East Coast. I met with all of these different men individually, and there were 2 questions that were the same. The first question was, at what age did you connect with romantic love? The last question was, do you believe that men have the capacity to love profoundly? And based on their first question, their response to the first question, that led me to the next question. That guided the interview. And what I got from the interview, as far as the information, it was very, first of all, powerful, okay? And then it was very profound. What made it powerful was that these men all let me in at some point during each interview because they did not know me. They were, of course, guarded and nervous, but at some point during each interview, I could feel a level of trust, intimacy, and vulnerability in the midst of the conversation. And they let me in. They shed their armor, and they let me in. And because of that, men and women benefit from their journeys with love. And there were some commonalities. Their journeys are all different. But I would like to bring out one commonality that I did find was that these men all feel that society and the culture and their culture prevents them from being able to seek out support, support when they're going through various issues. They believe that they reside in a society that has taught them that strength is measured by and power is measured by having the ability, first of all, to mask whatever issues you're dealing with. And also they've been taught to suck it up, to suck it up. You know, and there's even one guy in the story, I believe it was Ethan, and he was in a situation where he had been cheated on. And he was hurt profoundly to the point where he had contemplated suicide. And there was no one that he felt he could go to for just support. He said, you know, Mary, if I went to a friend and said, you know, I'm feeling down because my girl cheated on me, he said, they look at me like I'm a punk or that I'm weak. So they've been taught, all of the gentlemen agreed that society has taught them to suck it up, and the fact that they're unable to voice what it is that they need as it pertains to love, you know, that it has crippled them. It is literally making them physically and mentally sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's profound to even know that.
Right.
That is very profound.
Right. You know, so what I believe that makes me really proud about this book is that this book doesn't reflect the opinion of Mary Gilder. It's not. It's about these men and how they view their journey, how they feel what it is that they need. Because even when I'm on tour, we women, for whatever reason, are quick to say, no, this is what the problem is.
Exactly.
This is what they need. But these men here, they go deep. And they're clear about, because they've all been enlightened. They've gone through stuff, but they're in a place where they feel a heightened sense of self-awareness. They're enlightened, and they're in touch with what it is they need, and so they're able to convey that. And I think it's just awesome because this is not about the feelings of Mary E. Gilder. It's about these men, and I'm so honored, you know, to be that voice.
Let me ask you this, Mary. I appreciate and understand the depth in which you went with these guys.
Yes.
I respect and appreciate the profoundness of what you received when you went deep. But what I want to know is, first of all, did you feel that those men were capable of giving what they wanted to receive?
In that moment with me, or in their journey as a whole?
In their journey as a whole, I guess. And the reason why I ask that is because I deal with people wanting things from me constantly.
Right.
As a criminal defense lawyer,
Right.
people are wanting me to fight for their very life for free.
Right.
But I rarely have someone say, even though I have no money or have little money, or you got my case dismissed, even though you didn't charge me for a trial. Like I had some young men today wanting more, and no one ever said, thank you. Can I come cut your grass for you? Can I
Right.
come do something for you?
Right.
I want you, I mean, they're cussing me out because I'm not filing a motion to get their gun back, but I'm trying the case for free.
Right.
Any other lawyer would have said, take time served and be done. Got them a good deal. But they're mad because I'm not stopping what I'm doing right now in a meeting. I told them I would do it Saturday.
Right.
Okay? And so I said, why are you calling me today when I told you yesterday that I would do it Saturday? I'm in a meeting. I just want you to answer that question. Look, I went to college. I did 3 years in criminal justice. These are my client's friends, but they're all together on the phone with me. And so what does that have to do with anything? I'm in a meeting. I asked you what to come Saturday. I just want you to answer me. I am calling you today because they refuse to answer that. They continue to get ratchet up, get indignant with me, because they need a motion to restore their property from the property room, because this young man, my client, is riding with 2 boys deep with guns. They arrested the driver for the guns. But these 2 young men were good enough to have actually bought those guns legally and had receipts for them. So I had them bring the receipts. My client, Donovan, can't afford a trial. I don't even think he paid me the non-trial fee just to go to court. So, but I'm not gonna let a black man take a case, right? So a young man, so I'm saying, I'm gonna try the case for you for free. Go get those boys to go to the stores where they bought them from and reprint the receipts, because all receipts are online now, right? Even though they didn't have them anymore. I didn't believe him. He brought the receipts. I gave them to the DAs. They still want to try him. His friends had the guns. They told the police didn't write it down. I want him to know I believe in you. So we're going to go to trial. Just bring your friends, even if you don't bring them. Try to bring your friends. I find out from a DA that they dismissing it when we go to court Monday. We don't have to go to trial Tuesday when we go to court. So I called him. I said, look, they're dismissing it. You don't have to go to court, but I want you to go to court because I want to give you a copy of the dismissal. Because I knew those boys were going to want their guns back. You see what I'm saying? So I want them to meet me there so I can, because I've already planned to give them my whole day trying this case, right? So at least meet me in court. I didn't tell them what I was going to do, but I had the time, so I was going to do it. I have to get the judge to sign a court order, blah, 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 to take it to the property room. You know, all these things have to happen. They got to court before me and left because they told them, they gave them a copy of the dismissal. So they smart enough to know on their own that they can just run over to the cop.
I don't need Vivian King
I don't
involved.
need you. Can't even say thank you for getting my case dismissed. Now, I'm hot as a firecracker because I know that they're going to be back.
A lit firecracker.
A lit firecracker. And I'm not going to have time for them because I got meetings back to back to back to back, okay? So I call them. So I tell my secretary, I'm still the court, I said, find Donovan and tell him to come back, okay? Because I was going to get the court order signed by the judge right then. You see what I'm saying? It's a visiting judge. They're gone. I can't get it done without them. I need them there. So where are you? Because you've taken the original, you got the dismissal form with you. Because the court had filed theirs away the day before. It had been done the day before. They're not answering the phone. He answers once, say, I'm coming, never shows up. I wait around all day. I get to the office at 1. I've been there since 9:20. Guess what happens at 4 o'clock? He barges in because he's been to the property room. And one of the boys got his back because he was polite to the jailer, the property room.
Not demanding.
Not demanding, had his ID. The other one didn't have his ID.
You gonna give me my gun.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
So now they want the proper motion signed by the judge to restore, give them their property back, which is a long way around. I don't have time right now. Come back Saturday. But they're going to call me again today. Stop what you're doing and do it now. I'm like, first,
entitlement.
You see what I'm saying?
Sense of entitlement.
SOE.
And I'm like,
Sensitive
and we
entitlement.
went back and forth for like 20 minutes. I'm like, I have somebody in my office sitting in front of me that I need to talk to. I said, you know what? How about not coming back ever? Since y'all know, he's going to tell me about how much he knows because he went to college for 3 years in criminal justice, and I know this and I know that. And I'm like,
You're in this situation, though.
How hurtful is that, though?
Yeah.
Just how
but just
hurtful is that?
think about me.
Yeah.
I'm
Your
doing all
feelings.
this for free. I got your case dismissed. I'm there trying to get what y'all are going to ask me for
Right.
next. You can't come back to my office or come back to court for me to do it right then. I'm waiting for you guys. You never show up because you don't need me anymore.
Let me ask you something, Vivian. How from when you have that type of experience do you help the next person?
I've been having this experience for 20-something years.
But what's there inside you that allows you to help
I must
the
be.
next person?
I guess because I was abused as a kid, and I'm used to getting beat up. That's all I can think of. I'm tired. I'm just like, normally I would have still let them come on Saturday. The new me said, you know what? Don't worry about it. Since you know everything and you talking more than I am, and you still can't tell me why you are stopping me today for something yesterday I told you I would do on Saturday. For free. I'm not sure. Most lawyers in gun cases, because the cops keep them, especially if they're legal guns like theirs are, the DAs file an order to destroy the property. Most lawyers will get the gun returned to them for a fee because I didn't get paid, so I could have gotten those guns because the cops just keep them.
They do?
Yeah, they just keep play with them, have target practice.
My goodness.
If you go to trial on a murder and the person says, or say like you see somebody get shot. They never find the gun. You said, but it was a black gun that looked like this. They'll bring in one of those guns out of the property room to be a similar gun and use it as evidence.
Wow.
Oh, that's what they do.
Wow.
Or the cops keep them if they like them.
So you're going to pull the curtain back and let us see that the Wizard of Oz is really just a man speaking in a speaker.
I'm just telling you what happens with the guns. Some lawyers have opened up stores to sell guns. They get so many because they don't give them.
Really?
But so what a lot of lawyers do is, if they're nice and they will say, get the judge to give
Can
the
you
gun
tell
back
us
to
that?
me. Listen, to give the judge back to me. And then they're nice enough to just go ahead and give it to their client. They get the gun returned to them for a fee, but then they're just going to give it to their client. But they don't give the guns back. So listen to what I'm doing for these kids, right? And remember, I haven't been paid at all for the trial. This case has been going on since September 2014. I did all this to get this off this boy's record. Every time I go up there, I'm not getting paid. I'm paying for gas. I'm paying for parking. And all they're doing is calling and
Appreciation.
cussing me out because I'm not stopping the meeting I am with 2 lawyers in there that I'm helping them with. Well, we'll come on Saturday. We'll bring you money if that's what you want. I'm like, no, I don't think you're coming Saturday. You're not coming up here Saturday. because I'm done. You went to college 3 years, you know what you're doing. See, they went back up there clowning up there at that property room. You see what I'm saying? And you know how cops are. I mean, you disrespect them.
I'm gonna
That's
make
it.
it even
They shut
harder.
it down. That's right.
Like,
shut it down.
like make me give it to you.
Right. Go get a court order for me to give it to you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So now they want me to do the motion to restore property and get a court order because they should be able to just get their property with the ID that he brings the next day, but he clowns so, and then he's clowning me. And then you going so I'm just telling you. So it made me think about that when you say that. I understand. I'm compassionate. Danny knows about the black man's plight and the underdog man, black, white, or Hispanic.
That's right.
But every now and then, I'm just wondering, did they ever talk about what they wanted to give in return? That's all I need to ask you.
Well, I was purpose in my quest to seek out men who had a sense of enlightenment as it pertained to their journey.
Gotcha.
Because I wanted this book to be an educational tool for both men and women.
Gotcha.
So in order for that to manifest, I needed someone, as I stated, who had gone through something, came through it, and had a sense of self-awareness. And that's what I got. So each man takes you on a journey. And I start, like I said, the first question is, when did you first connect with love? And from there, they take you on a journey. They take you on a journey to mistakes made, profound mistakes made, lessons learned, and even provides advice to men and women about overcoming.
So I'm just wondering, in your journey with Ethan, since he was the one that his girlfriend cheated, I have a couple questions. Was his girlfriend, were they still together, or did she cheat, like broke up with him cheat? Or did he just find out she cheated, but they're still together?
He found out, and if I'm not mistaken, with Ethan, there was a baby that came up. But yeah, he found out, I believe, while he was incarcerated, that she had cheated. But also, Ethan's perception of love and relationships came from watching his older sisters who were in very abusive relationships. So that's where his foundation of how you treat a woman came from. You know, and so that's what he brought to his relationships. Yeah.
And that was his first love. Then Ethan described it that because when you asked him the question, can you recall when you first fell in love? He described this relationship with this woman. And as the relationship developed, Ethan ended up going to prison and spending 3.5 years. And when he came home, she had another child. And he said that it affected him moving forward with all his relationships. That I believe what Ethan was describing is he never healed from that one hurt.
And I like to add with each, and you let me know if you agree with this, with all of these men, we go deep. So, you know, they tell their story, and based on their response, I go really deep with them. So Ethan provides detailed information about what it felt like being in prison and just, you know, being alone, and from her calling weekly to barely calling at all, what that did to his psyche, you know, and then coming out and finding that she was no longer there for him. He talks in great detail about what that felt like, what that did to him. So you really get a good sense of his pain. And then not having anyone to turn to, because once again, being taught that if you're a man, oh, you suck that up. You know, if you're in pain, you suck that up. And he talks about what that did to him.
Wow, I can appreciate that. Tell us, not to spoil the whole book, because we want people to read it. How did that affect you when you went to prison? And, you know, the person that you were dating when you went in maybe was not available when you came out. How did that affect you, Danny?
Well, initially, the relationships I related to with love and emotion was directed to family first. Mom, dad, brother, sister, children, and then like classmates, Texas High. My Texas High classmates. I really felt like I would be missed to the point to where I would get like fan mail. I expected just like when they passed out mail that, you know, hey, they have to have a bag when they got to my cell. But oftentimes, not all the times, they would just pass by.
But you really in your mind thought that you would get a bunch of mail. I mean, why did you think that, Danny?
I thought I mattered. I thought that growing up, I had this false image of what it was when I was growing up before I started messing up. I changed the relationships with people based on my decisions and choices. But when I got locked up, I minimized what had happened to me.
You minimized what you did to disappoint your fans and your family, and you maximized what you meant to them. Because it didn't mean that you didn't mean anything to them. It just meant that a lot of people, those same people, didn't write letters. They're not letter writers. So when you went to prison, they loved you, they thought about you, they prayed for you, but they just didn't write you letters.
Yeah, my dad said that my brothers, I was a hero to my brother and sister. And when your hero falls, man, that's hurtful. And when he explained it to me like that, I got it. He said the reason people are responding like that,
or not responding at all,
it's the disappointment.
Right.
That the person that they think wouldn't fall has fallen. And they're dealing with their own hurt, their own shame, their own guilt, their own remorse. But selfish, self-centered Danny is not thinking about their feelings. Oh, woe is me.
You didn't connect with that.
I'm connecting to this cell I can't get out of, and the world out there should be trying to break me out.
And you don't realize how you've hurt people and how it's affecting them because you're just consumed with your own loneliness now. Because now you're not high.
Me.
You're not high.
Me.
You're sober, and you're wondering, where are all those people that I'd like to talk to sober? But what a lot of people in jail don't realize, those people are here for you when you're out in the world, but you don't have time for them anymore.
Because the chemicals are not in your body now. You're getting rest, they're feeding you, and all of a sudden you realize
life is real.
You start being the person you originally were. And that person loved people. You wake up one day and it's like, hey, I need a hug. And you look at your cell like, no, I'm good.
I don't need a hug.
I don't need no prison love. I need some outside love.
Right.
And you know what was really hard is visitation time. Because some people got a lot of visits. And it's not a slight on my family, but not everybody's comfortable of visiting people in prison. So the long duration I stayed in prison, I think I had like 3 visits. And you know, I was down there for a long time.
A long time, right.
And I built a resentment because why y'all not coming to see me? And these people, families are coming every week. But there again, I made it all about me. Then think about the cost, the time that they would have to come there, and the humiliation they put visitors to. They treat visitors in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice System like they have committed a crime.
They do.
They don't talk to them, they don't respect them. And if I knew that was going on, I would have been discouraging my mother and my dad, anybody to go through that. But no, you know, these letters that we were writing, they're heartfelt, but they're filled with so much selfishness. And hidden agendas and motives that's saying, really, man, I'm hurting down here. I really need a hug.
Right. I really need a visit. I really need to see you. But even not even with families, even as a lawyer, our clients will call us or write us or tell their families, come visit me, come visit me. First of all, lawyers only come visit people in jail if we have something to talk about, something new. Usually there's nothing new since the last court date. They really want to visit because they're lonely. But your lawyer is not your friend. And so even though I come, I'm only going to repeat the same thing I repeated last time. Nothing's happened until we go to court again. And these are people waiting for a trial. So they sit in the Harris County Jail forever, for a year or two sometimes. And I have to tell them, you don't decide when I come see you. I decide. And they don't understand the humiliation that we're put through as lawyers, especially lady lawyers, because sometimes men, bailiffs and jailers will be mean to you and make you wait just because they have the power to do that. So they don't realize if we're going to come and spend that kind of time and humiliation, we're going to make sure that it's something meaningful we need to talk about.
That's right.
And something new.
Let me give a shout out to Greg Fulton that introduced me to Mary. And Greg has an organization called I Am My Brother's Keeper of North Carolina. And one of their statements is iron sharpens iron, which comes out of Proverbs 27, the 17th chapter. Mary appeared on a conference call, and she was the speaker. And it's a group of men that all over the country, we on once a month on a Saturday, we listen, they have different speakers. So they asked me to listen in on that call this Saturday. And once Mary started talking about Ethan, and she was in San Diego at the time, remember? And I'm here in
Northern
Houston.
Northern California.
Oh,
I'm from San Diego, but when we spoke, I was in Northern California.
Oh, okay then.
Fremont, California.
Okay, she was in Fremont. But I was just listening, and when she mentioned Ethan and his experience, it drawed me in right then. And when the call was over with, I wanted to know more about Mary in this great book. And when I found out that she was going to be back in Houston again, I said, I had this idea that how can we make truth and justice meshed with love and how men suffer? How can we bring those two together? And as you can see, we've already found a lot of different dynamics that brought that together. And Ethan's story really carries that message. But again, Greg, I want to thank you. And their vision of this organization is to see men set free, healed, and delivered from sin that has broken their fellowship with God, and to allow men to reclaim their God-given promises while supporting the mission of I am my brother's keeper. And so that's another thing that tied Mary being here today, this organization reaching out and having a platform that what they want to empower men's lives. Your platform, Vivian, is set a stage where you do this pro bono work, you do this great opportunity for a person like me to give us a platform to say, hey, I don't know what your past looked like. I want to celebrate what your now looks like. And you know, I take advantage of that by how I live, by you giving me this opportunity to go out and always do what? The next right thing.
Right, exactly. And think about the consequences, because when you're in a position like Danny and many men who've been to prison a lot when they were younger, you know, you can't make too many, you don't have too many chances to take, because the police officers are going to harass you first. So you have to make good decisions and good choices. You have to learn to back down sometimes.
Right.
When you don't really want to back down, because you understand the alternative could ratchet up to a quick prison stint or somebody being hurt. And I appreciate and applaud men like you who've been down that road, Danny, who are trying to make the right choices so they can stay on the ground for their family members. So I know you have to take a lot of noise, take a lot of mess in society, because people know you're an ex-con and know that you're having to try to stay on your feet. But we appreciate you. We need you here. So,
And we changing our description. We no longer are called ex-felons, ex-cons. We like to be called returning citizens.
All right.
I know it. And I'm always still say ex-con, because I'm one of those that still says black instead of African American. So because sometimes I like to speak the truth, and a lot of people are thinking ex-con, even if I say the word returning citizens. So we're going to call it whatever we want to call it here. But in searching for the truth, though, let's talk a little bit about the book, but as Danny sees it, what a man's perception of love is after spending time and years in the criminal justice system. Although you shared it, tell me how your definition of love evolved while spending so much time there. You wanted fan mail. You thought everybody ought to stop and write you every week. You thought they should come visit you probably at least once a month. You weren't getting that. So how did that evolve? You said you were bitter. Take us on that journey.
Well, what my love turned into is resentment. And resentment is only unresolved. And a resentment is like defined as unresolved anger. So guess what I came out with? Anger. But I masked it because I had these expectations of what love was when I was a little boy. Before I, the nephew, how they treated you before you ever got involved in the criminal justice system. So my expectation was they're going to treat me like I did when I came from the Army.
Right.
Because when I returned from the military and I went to my aunt's home, hey, Danny, oh, I cooked this special meal for you. We knew you was coming. But when I came back from prison, you knock on the door, they may peek out the curtain and talk to you through the door. And like, why is she standing in the door with the door halfway open? This Danny. this nephew, how you doing? And they may come out on the porch and start talking to you. Or, you know, and you saying, why are we standing out here talking? You know, it is that fear of have you changed since you've been in prison. Like, I ain't seen you, Danny, you know what I'm saying, since New Edition had their first song. You out now, it's a whole new thing out here. And
How
it's
did that
the
make
fear.
you feel, Danny? How did that make you feel?
Rejection. And you know what we do with rejection? We medicate it. And see, that's how that cycle keeps going.
I was getting ready to ask you, because
Medicated.
it ties in with the book. What I was going to ask you, what did you do with those feelings? All those feelings that you felt, what did you do with those feelings? So I'm hearing you say that you self-medicated.
Yeah, and I didn't go to the pharmacy.
Not Walgreens.
I know, I understand that.
Street drugs.
Right, exactly.
They kept you going back to prison.
Exactly.
And the cycle started.
That cycle.
And
From a societal and family standpoint, since we don't understand this enough in this society, what could his family have done, or what kind of dialogue could they have had that would be better?
I think it would have been nice, and this is my clinical part.
Right.
Coming, if prior to you being released from prison, if the family could have gone through some therapy to help them prepare and also to process whatever feelings they were holding on to pertaining to your incarceration, that would have been beneficial. You know?
One of the things I'm hearing also is that the released prisoner has expectations of the family. They want to have that love that they felt when they were still coherent before they got on drugs, that good feeling. But now they have to be faced with a family that's afraid of them because you've disappointed them. They've gone through a heartache. They probably want to give you love and a hug, but they don't know what that's gonna do because everybody's scared of a crackhead. You know, I mean, people have the stories in their family. Well, I took him in when he was down and out, and then nourished him back to health, and then everything starts coming up missing.
There's a range of feelings that the family's dealing with, and that's why what's most healthy, what's most proactive is a holistic type approach. So in other words, you engulf the entire family system. And you put in services and also encourage therapy so they can process all those feelings. And if it's anger, if it's rage, if it's shame, if it's guilt. Sometimes you have a lot of guilt. Maybe mom feeling like if I just would have took him to church more, if I would have given more hugs. It just varies. But to be able to face whatever those issues are in a therapeutic setting, I believe that that's so important. And then also working with you and preparing you for the reality of what you can face, when returning back to the family system. And that support needs to be ongoing for the entire system.
Wouldn't it be great if the Texas Department of Criminal Justice System has something in place that before you would actually be able to parole out, that the families were allowed to participate voluntarily to something that allowed them to get some tools, something
There's
like
a lot of programs like that. I live in California, but I know there's a lot of programs that are in place.
One of the programs that should help with that transition are when you go to those halfway houses on your way out. Now, that's supposed to be preparing you, although that's not a system for the family to be prepared. But that is a place for nonprofits. That's where a nonprofit or a church could do something free for those who want to be ready for their family. So maybe even at our church where we have the Path to Freedom and the Lazarus Project, maybe we need to start opening it up for another dimension, and that is a counseling or open it up for people who
reentry for families.
Reentry for families, so we can, start a program where people go in and we talk to them for a month or so before they come in, because there are all kind of ideas we can come up to put our heads up with. We could have safe places, have them counsel, but have a safe house for the family to take this person back in, because people were paroled to somebody's house. So there's already a house that's already designated. So maybe all the family members can come to that house.
What I think too is that communities have to really be creative and think outside the box, because when money's flowing, there's plenty of programs, right? And there's a lot of frontline warriors who are preaching the importance of these programs. However, when money tightens up, when funding tightens up, then they go away. And so we have to be creative and we have to think outside of the box when it comes to providing services to the family and for the person who's being released from prison.
I
It's
agree,
so
and that's
vital.
why the churches can always
Most
provide
definitely.
that, because they have doors that are open 24 hours a day, basically, or every day,
Right.
and it's all about us just volunteering
That's
to
right.
do it.
It's giving our life
just
in
giving
our
it- right.
profession as a service, like you do.
Like I do, yeah. Like everybody keeps wanting me to do more and more. I can provide this arena, and I might could come once a month, but I've never experienced someone getting out of prison. I experience my clients getting in trouble over and over again, and and what the families go through. So I can share that, but I've just not had that personal experience.
I have experienced it from a professional perspective, and I do know that they're at a loss. They're at a loss.
Because most families will say this: I didn't raise him like that.
Right.
So they're not expecting you to mess up and go to prison, and they don't know how to deal with it when you get out.
Services are needed, though. I do know that services are needed, and they need to be in place. Those services need to be in place once the person is released. They need to be in place immediately.
And so that love component that Mary, that you write about and that we're talking about, Danny, needs to be a part of it.
Most definitely.
You know, that love component.
I work, and Vivian knows this, I work with an organization called the Path of Freedom.
Okay.
And we have a program called the Lazarus Project, and we meet on Thursdays. It's a reentry program for people returning from prison. One of the main components on the front line, and we talk about to be successful, is focus, discipline, and consistency. The three things we talk about that will send you back to prison is frustration, conflict, and I'm having a Rick Perry moment here. I don't know what the third one is. But the thing is this, that one of the things we teach against is getting in a relationship when you first get out. Because the things that are required, this commitment, this trust, and these love, I hadn't had a chance to exercise these things in prison. So when I jump in a relationship, I'm rusty. And
the returning citizen has a lot of false expectations. It's those expectations. Don't you agree, Mary?
I agree.
Because people, just like I gave the story about the kids expecting from me, people expect you to stop your life, the working people, because a lot of men don't realize their mothers and wives and girlfriends have had to carry that load by themselves of working, the children, and really resenting you being gone and you making foolish choices, because what men don't understand is that women are making good choices so that they can, they might be a pain in the ass, but they're trying to make good choices so that they can be there for their children. And so they are a little rowdy. But the thing is, you can't come and just lay down and say, oh, the system's not helping me find a job. Oh, the system doesn't love me. Because you got to get out there, and so we have to meet somewhere in the middle.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to say, I think a lot of men need to be humble, kind of like those religious programs, that Kairos program teaches you to be humble and say, I know I wasn't there. I want the opportunity to get back in your life. What is the way? How can we? These are the things I need. Let me shut up and listen to the things you need, and let's see if we can try to, come to some kind of compromise on which few things we're going to work on first. I see that we have a caller. Caller, you're on Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Please state your comment. Turn your volume down and speak into your phone.
Hey, how you doing, Vivian?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Vivian?
How are you?
Great. My question is, how do you identify once your heart has been broken that you have forgiven that person that broke your heart?
How can you identify whether or not you have actually forgiven that person who broke your heart?
Yes.
Okay, that's a great question, caller. And you call me by my name. Are you giving yours, or are you a secret?
Oh, my name is Eddie.
Eddie. I think all three of us can answer that. Let me start. I would say that when you feel that pressure being released from you, when your heart has been broken, you go through a gamut of emotions, hurt, hate, mistrust. and then at some point you just release and accept. And so for me, when I've had my heart broken, and I've had it broken on many a time, I realize it when I accept God's will, because I'm always praying, God, please let me accept your will. This obviously is not the person for me. Let me pray that he can be happy with where he is. Let me forgive him for lying to me and saying I'm the only one. You know, I go through all of those changes, and I just keep praying and pushing forward and being around people who like me. They might not love me, but they like me. They're my friends. And one day I just feel this pressure off of me. I'm not being an insomniac. I'm not sleeping, not eating. And so that's the way I realize it, is when I feel free again to love and to like people. So Mary is the psychotherapist.
No.
So let's let her give you an answer.
Well, I agree with everything you said, Vivian, and I think that with this particular question, it's a process. For everyone, it's a process. There's no set guidelines. I think it's just a matter of if you're carrying the load of a heavy heart, it's just making sure that you have some type of spiritual support, that you have a support system for yourself. If you are a spiritual person, stand in prayer. Just getting a support system for yourself is very vital. If you need therapy, get in therapy, and just knowing that this shall pass.
But you can't be suicidal.
No.
You can't be like this is the end of the world. You have got to release yourself as a man to get support.
Right.
Most men have a good female friend that's just a friend, no sex. They have a relative that's a female, because sometimes you do need some female conversation, and sometimes you need some male conversation. I know people say prayer, but you have to realize that this too will pass, day after day after day. If you keep, it's a process, like Mary said. If you just live each day, the beauty of when I break up and have a heartbreak, I say, boy, in about 3 months, I'm gonna be over it. I know that if I can just live for 3 months from now, that's about how long it takes.
Right.
But you have to do something drastic, like stop talking to them, turn your phone off. I mean, you have to be ready for this process to be over. You got to disconnect from it, and in 3 months, you'll be over it. Danny, how do you deal with a broken heart?
Well, because I'm a relationship expert, and I qualify and validate myself as an expert on relationships based on how many times I failed at it. So, I can tell you what you should do, but I sure can tell you what you shouldn't do. One thing, there's a difference between pain and hurt. See, pain is something you go get treated for. You go call 911, you go get some medicine. But hurt is something different. And once I realized that there was a difference between pain and hurt, that helped me. And I like your analogy. It's like when you get a cut on your finger, and every time you shower, it stings. One day you get in the shower, you notice, like, where my sting at?
It's gone.
I look like, oh man,
It's healed.
It healed up. From a sprained ankle or anything, any type of injury you have, for a while you may walk with a limp or whatever. One day you will be walking and look, and you'll say, where my limp go? And that's how you recover from heartbreak. But you have to disconnect. You can't keep emailing and texting her. You can't be a Facebook friend.
You can't drive around her house, although I've done some drive-bys. Don't get me wrong. I've done some drive-bys. I've done some drive-bys, whoever's car was there. But when you disconnect like that, you stop emailing, texting, and looking, and just say, really, really, God, have a good cry. I surrender. Let your will be done. My God is her God, and this just wasn't meant to be. This is what I wanted. This is not what God wanted. Let her be happy, and God, just find a person to make me happy. That's the way I get over it, and just move each day at a time. Have some humility in your heart. Eddie, I hope that helps you.
I want to add, too, is also to do the reverse of what society says men should do, which is just to stuff it and keep it moving. Get you a support system.
Somebody you can talk
need
to.
somebody to talk, you talk. If you feel like crying, cry. Give yourself whatever it is you need so that you can heal.
Does that help, Eddie?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited because, yes, I did. I'm excited. I'm going out and get that book.
Well, we can't invite commercial transactions and tell you to buy anything, but you can certainly look us all up on our websites, okay? And you can find out all about us, including Mary. When her name comes up, you can read all about her and her job and her profession as a psychotherapist, okay? Good luck, Eddie. Thanks for calling.
Can I read a definition of love?
Yes.
Okay.
It says, love is the willingness to allow anyone to be what they choose for themselves without any insistence that they meet my expectations.
That was hard. Say that again in your own words.
Okay.
if you can?
Well, one of the things I believe that love is being able to love someone when they're the least unlovable. When
All
they're
right.
doing something that you just make you really, 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 really mad, like, man, ooh, if you can love them then, oh, you can love somebody.
Well, since we don't have much time, time goes so fast.
Oh, my
Mary.
goodness.
We got
I can't
15
believe it.
minutes. Mary, let's talk more about the book. So tell us what readers of your book will learn, or one of the lessons that they can learn from your book.
Well, there was an event that that was hosted in my honor at the Ensemble Theater on Saturday, and it was a panel of men who had read the book, and they talked about what this book did for them as men, and I'll share that because it was so profound. What they got from this book is that, in their own journey, is that society embraces women for sharing, their journey, talking about their journey. There's
their
supports in
emotions.
place. There's supports in place for women, and it's encouraged to share your journey, to share your feelings. But for men, it's not. And so many of these men, with reading this book, they felt a sense of validation for the fact that they love just as hard as women do. They suffer just as much as women do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And this book just gave validation and gave them the courage to be able to express this, and the courage to be able to state what it is they need.
And sometimes what I've noticed, another church I used to go to, Windsor Village, had a men's group. And I have talked to men, my ex-husband goes to that group, and a lot of men through religious groups, if it's not like a Path to Freedom with returning citizens, it can be a group of men through church that get to talk about their emotions. Like I've had a young man tell me, I used to mess over women, screw around. And then when I got my heart broke, then she shouldn't have done that to me. And he had to talk to older men in his religious church group about how you finally found balance with the way you conduct yourself as a man, because some men are taught that you got to have as many sexual women as you can. You're supposed to lie to your girlfriend and then, or your wife, but then when it happens to you, then the earth is supposed to stop, and you got to learn how to balance that and know that a real man can make a sacrifice for his loved ones, and that might mean not messing around. It might challenge your traditional definition of what a man is, but sometimes you need older men in a religious setting, or in a setting, and the religious setting is the easiest one to find, in a setting to tell you this is what a real man does, because that man might have been taught a different definition of being a man by his father, who was a traditional provider, who was there for the mother, who was there who was the strong shoulders for the wife to cry on, even though they might cry sometime themselves. Because my ex-husband was a strong man, but when we go to the movies, he'd cry. I always thought that was sweet. He showed a tender moment, and he's a serious man's man. But I think he was raised with 6 sisters, and so I just think that he was used to crying in movies. You know what I mean? Like, because he saw them cry all the time. But that was like the only time he cried, that or if somebody died. But he could show that at a movie theater.
It's interesting you mentioned that, and one of the things I found from my experience in the justice system is that a lot of us were raised by our mothers. So when looking deep at it, I said, what happens when you're raised by a single parent as a mother and you don't have men in your life? We become sensitive because we're around the sensitivity of our mothers. So when we become adults, we have more
girl traits, kind of.
I don't like using it like that, but I got to keep it 100.
Let's keep it 100.
I got to keep it 100.
I noticed that too.
I said, that's where that high level of defensiveness, I don't want to use sensitivity, defensive. That if soon as something hurts us, you
act emotional like a woman.
But we use anger and our strength.
But it really is because
tears.
But women don't know that. And see, the women that you're dealing with don't know that you're being sensitive because we just see you being mean.
Right.
Because we don't know that.
We're masking the sensitivity with anger.
And we don't know that, though. So you running us off with that attitude because we're thinking that, we might call you kind of a bitch, behind your back, because he acting like a bitch. That's what we'll
Right,
say. He's acting
right.
like a girl. But we
Right.
don't really want to say that to you, but you are, because you don't know how to be honest about it. You can't say, sweetheart, wifey, girlfriendy, I just don't, this is bothering me that you're doing that. You just can't say those words.
We
And
don't have the ability
you
to
won't.
communicate our feelings.
Right. Or
We act out.
Yeah, because you've been socialized that way. But in actuality, being able to say, this is how this situation has impacted me. This is what I need from you. That's actually a sign of strength.
That's actually a sign of strength.
That's actually a sign of
Say,
strength.
you can't treat me this way. This is how this makes me feel. So can we compromise somehow? Because, everybody's in a love relationship to feel good and to support each other. And that's going to conflict and collide a lot of times. So you have to be able to communicate that.
The groups like I Am My Brother's Keepers of North Carolina, in programs like mentorship programs, and when you bring mature men in that have already overcome a lot of these obstacles, it's very teachable to a young man.
Even to a middle-aged man
Right.
who hasn't allowed themselves to learn that lesson.
Because it's new
Because
information.
see, there's some men who've been married for 20 and 30 years. If they get married young, they still haven't dealt with it.
Same belief system hadn't changed.
Right. They just were able to have a woman that might be a little bit more accommodating or tolerant.
Submissive.
But it doesn't mean, do we have a call? If we have a call, turn your volume down and state your comment, please.
Good show. Congratulations to everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Do you think that men have always had feelings that maybe just nobody's asked like you? And also, do you think the world recently is more matriarchal? And men and women need to realize this. And thank you. Good show.
Thank you. You want to comment on that, Danny? Or
Yeah, I think what he was saying is that nobody asked us how we feel.
That's true.
And
That's
basically
true.
summing up, he's just saying, I'm glad somebody's taking the time out and say, even a man can have a broken heart. Is like somebody noticed that we have hearts, that we hurt,
Yeah.
but we're not going to come out and say it. So we thank you, Mary, for saying something that we don't have the courage to come out and say, because we don't want nobody to look at us like what's wrong with him,
like
man?
he's weak. And let me tell you this, if Danny will let me, as my routine co-host and church member, Danny was excited about meeting you, Mary.
Oh,
he
my
was
goodness.
excited about the title of the book.
Right.
He was excited that someone took the time to write a book about even men can have a broken heart. He said, I'm learning things from this book.
right.
I'm learning how to share my feelings, and that other men have feelings that I have left bottled up. And we've got to get her on the show so that we can have this conversation. And he and I talked about the fact that so many men in prison and coming out of prison are dealing with the same emotion
That's right.
10 times fold than the average man. Believe it or not, we only have 3 minutes. So Mary, I had other questions, but I am going to, let me ask one question. One of the things that Danny had suggested we ask, what's a woman's perception and expectation of these men? I don't know if we can get there, but I want you to close and maybe share what some of the women or men or women said about what the men thought.
Okay. Women in general have not been as open to the book because of many women have refused to believe that men can have a broken heart.
Whoa.
Exactly.
That's profound.
Exactly. So from Saturday's event and women actually hearing men talk about their journey, what it is they need from women, and also the expectation that they're holding themselves to, women were just so impressed and so enlightened. And so it's different. This type of book is different, but it's very much necessary because when it comes to both sexes during our evolution, one wasn't favored more than the other. We all have the capacity to love profoundly. It's there. And basically what women need, men also need too.
Yeah, I agree with
we
you.
all need it. We all need love and understanding.
Well, we all need it and we all express it in our one-on-one relationships. The problem, I believe, comes when those relationships break up. Because I think in a love relationship, there becomes and level of intimacy between the man and woman that's not just physical and sexual, to where a man really shares his vulnerability with his wife or his spouse or his mate.
Women are not feeling that, though. From the research I've done and from the men that I've spoken with, and just from the men here who have shared, women are not seeing that. I've
seen it. I've seen it in relationships I've had where the men are vulnerable, but it's
not
fleeting.
Showing it.
It's fleeting. That's the problem.
Right.
They show it, but then they go and do something a month later that's contrary to it. And so we just feel like it was a game or an act, and we don't really think it was real and sincere. If that makes sense to you? But we do need to figure out a way to get there and to respect and love each other.
Most definitely.
We're in a less caring society right now anyway, so people just don't care that much. We have 1 minute, Danny. I'm going to let you say something.
Well, one thing I want to do, and I'm going to do this on air, got you a little gift.
Oh, Danny, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Most definitely.
And again, Vivian, it's always an honor because I represent a genre of people that has unique experience. And that's how I look at what happened to me. It was an experience just like any experience. And I challenge any man or any woman that has anything that happened to your life that you call it a hurt, match it with anything that was good, and just call it an experience. Move past it. All of our life is a lesson. And I got that from one of the things you mentioned. Life is just a lesson.
It's a lesson.
And I want to give a shout out to our church, St. John's, Pastor Rudy and Pastor Juanita, because me and Vivian are members there, to Path of Freedom Prison Ministry, Lazarus Project. And again, Mary, we just enjoyed you being here in Houston.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Houston has showed me so much love. I'm going to go back home and continue doing what it is I do.
Well, we really appreciate, let me say on behalf of Truth and Justice and our viewers, that we enjoyed the topic, and you have you lit a fire up under us. We might even expand our ministry at the church, and we'll certainly expand the conversation that Mary Gilder has provided for us on the show at a different time, won't we, Danny?
We will.
Thank you so much for your willingness to come on a humble show like ours and talk about such an important subject, and safe travels back to California.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. He's been charged with crime.